And welcome back, everyone. Welcome back to another day, another edition of the HSL, the Hispanic StarCraft League Group G. I'm of course host VIP, and with me I'm joined by these amazing players, by the people in chat, and by my plushies as well. Welcome one and all to some more HSL. Again, this is the Hispanic StarCraft League. This did begin at the start of the month, at the start of March, and we've been slowly working through the group stage, working through all the groups up until Group G. We are almost done. We've almost wrapped up with the group stage. For those that are curious, for those that are just now tuning in, this is a league for the Hispanic region, basically for the countries of Latin America and for Spain as well. So Spanish-speaking countries are all getting involved. It's amazing. It's beautiful, and it has brought together some players that otherwise did retire for some time. Vortex has been gone for many years. Vortex is back. Juanito Special also back, Cham as well, and many others that we're going to be featuring here tonight as well. So it's great to see a tournament that has kind of revitalized the scene, kind of brought back some players, and is also crowdfunded by the community as well, by the Hispanic community. They have kind of crowdfunded together. They reached all their goals. Big prize pool here for the HSL, and most likely a second season in the coming future. In the future here, most likely another season. When it comes to today's group though, again, we've been wrapping up all the groups. I do recommend checking out the VODs of previous HSL groups, but here we're jumping into Group G. Let's head on over and catch up on the players in said group. Let's go. Let us go as we do switch things over, and here we go. We are going to be covering Tavito, papita. Tavito, a player near and dear to our hearts, you know, very long time friend and supporter of the channel. Tavito is going to be popping off here against his fellow competitors. We have MikeSavage, we have Eva, also from Peru. We have some Peruanos in the group. We have a Hunter from Spain, and we have Cristo Dorado, also the Italian Zerg player living in Spain. So it looks like similarly to, say, Ryu, for example, who is Peruvian living in Italy, we have an Italian living in Spain here as well. Oh, I actually have to fix up the flag a little bit here. Hold on, where is he? Bam, beautiful. Beautiful. So we have some ZVTs, we have some ZVPs as well. As a reminder, this is a round robin group. We won't be casting every single match in the group. As you can imagine, there are a bunch of ZVZs that we are missing out on, with MikeSavage versus Eva, Eva versus Cristo Dorado, and Cristo Dorado versus MikeSavage as well. So we're skipping out on the mirror matchups, but all the other matches we are going to be covering here as well. Now there is still one other group remaining here. Group F, I believe, Group F, and I don't think we casted Group E either, but there are definitely some groups that we haven't covered yet, but a big reason for that is because they're still playing out their matches. Basically, the way the group stage works here is that players, they do organize their matches amongst themselves. They play out their matches and submit their matches for us to be casted at a later date. So we've been slowly accumulating all these replays over the course of the month. They do have until the end of the month to wrap up their groups. That's in a couple of days. So that we're almost done, we're almost wrapped up. So they have a couple of days here to wrap up the group stage, and we are going to be casting and catching up on those groups. There might be some missed series in those groups that I mentioned. Next week we'll be doing like a catch-up kind of wrap-up stream with whatever's left over from the other groups to catch up on everything that's been going on, and of course to get ready for the playoffs. The playoffs are going to be casted live. They're going to be casted live on this channel. We'll be casting in English, of course. That is going to be happening in early April. So early April is going to be the playoffs. Exciting times here. Exciting times for those playoffs. But for now, we're jumping into the group stage, and we have our first series here. It's going to be Tavito versus MikeSavage. Let's go. Let us go. Coming into this, Tavo is going to be the, I would say, the higher seed, or yeah, the highest seed coming into the group itself, but we'll see how the others do compare. As spawning in the bottom left-hand corner of ley lines, we have our pink Zerg player. Our pink Zerg player himself representing insane master killers. It is MikeSavage. It's a team I haven't seen in a long time. And spawning in the top right corner, we have the Peruvian Terran player, the blue Terran representing Xeratis Xeratis Esports even. It is Tavo. Tavito. Let's go. And we have our TvZ ahead of us here. Again, MikeSavage is a player that I've seen before, but haven't really gone to cast much of. So I'm really curious to see how they do compare here coming into the group stage. Players like MikeSavage, players like Eva, players like Crystal Dorado as well, and players like Hunter. Some of the Spanish players I'm very unfamiliar with. Likewise, Tavo is one of those competitors that did go on a hiatus. One of the many players that did kind of take a break from the scene. Tavo, he stopped. He was like almost not full time, but he was dedicating a lot of time to StarCraft back in 2020, 2021, 2022. Coming into 2023 onwards, did take a step back, like a lot of players did. Again, the Latin American region did shrink quite a bit. Part of that is because they lost their regionals. For those that are unaware, in EPT, oh god, I have to get rid of the turtle. God damn it. But in EPT, in the ESL Pro Tour, Latin America used to be separate from the Americas, but I think starting in 2024, maybe 2023, but at least in 2024, the regions were merged. A lot of regions were merged, actually, if you recall. China was also separate, but China was kind of merged into the rest of Asia and Oceania. And likewise, Latin America was merged with the Americas proper as well. So in that merging meant that there were less opportunities for the Latin American players, and a lot of them did step away. A lot of them did, in a sense, like quote-unquote retire, or just dedicated less time to StarCraft. Davito was one of them, but that's why for HSL, it's great to have him back. It's great to have him back here after so long. Big fan of Tavito, not just Tavo, but Neo as well, of course, Juanito, and many others. So yeah, it's great to see them given a reason to compete once again, and to see their return. Meanwhile, 2x Reaper here out of Tavo. Hyper aggression out of our Terran player, does move out, does dance here with the links of his opponents. And what is the goal of 2x Reaper? This is not an all-in, we're expanding behind this, but the goal is to delay and deny the third. Meanwhile, MikeSavage, he's aware of the opener, he's aware of the build, so MikeSavage, he's stuck and contained on 2 bases. Link speed is on the way, pulls out of gas, is massing up links as we speak, and will eventually expand. As he attempts to expand, we do see Tavo keeping up with the rotation, keeping up with the drone. Ooh, and won't be able to, like, honestly, could try to fight this and could try to focus on the hatchery, but for now, does dip away and is successful anyway. Even though he doesn't keep going for the expansion, he did delay. This is a late third base for MikeSavage. Likewise, he forced out excess links out of MikeSavage as well. And the Reapers, they do dip in. Once again, they dip out, and no single Reaper has gone down yet. And back at home is transitioning into his 2-1-1. That is the standard transition from this. There are different forms you can go into. You can go 2 racks into a 4 racks follow-up, into a 2-base all-in, into a 3-1-1, into a 3CC 2-1-1, or just a straight up 2-1-1, which is what we're getting here. If you're curious, what is a 2-1-1? It's 2 axes, 1 factory, 1 starport. So that's the reference of what 2-1-1 is. And this is typically a stim timing. So stim is on the way, as you can see, and this should hit alongside medevacs. This factory is making the reactor, starport's on the way. We should be seeing an add-on swap to get the reactor on the medevac, the reactor on the starport, to make 2 medevacs at a time to move out with 16 marines. Now usually it's 16 marines, but with a 2-rack Reaper opener, I think it might be 14, so maybe slightly less. Regardless, we should be getting into this. Oh, never mind, no add-on swap. Oh my god, okay. Now, why don't we have an add-on swap? No add-on swap means a medevac is being made 1 at a time. We're actually going into delayed Hellion production, and now it all comes together with the armory. What does the armory mean? Hellbats. With the armory, that is a prerequisite. You have to build that first, then you can morph Hellions into Hellbats. So this looks like a 2-base, 2-on-1. I almost want to say Hellbat all-in. This is really dedicated. I will say that at least. It's very, very dedicated. This is designed to deal damage and designed to end the game as well, or at least deal some critical damage. So we'll see what this can get done. Now, the reason why I say critical damage is because if this doesn't trade well enough, there's no third CC. Like, the third CC is delayed in favor of this push, in favor of the armory, in favor of this army. So very late expansion here. This has to get damage done to make it worth it. And here we go. And of course, this may just end the game. Here we go. Now we get the third CC on the way, but again, late third base here at a Tavito. And now it's go time. Now it is go time. Tavo does move out. Back at home, where we have a good amount of queens. We got 8 queens here to defend, soon to be 9. The queen kind of sold. What about the lings though? What about the supports? Queens on their own are not going to be good enough. And here we go, Tavo. He's going for the dive, going for the army. He wants his queens. There should be transfuse. There we go. Transfuse, let's keep the queens alive. It does head towards the mineral lines. One queen does go down. Oh, he gets one. Ooh, does whack at the other. One queen so far is a good start. Going for the expansion, go for the drones. No, the drones! Yeah, the drones, there's no escaping this. The workers are going to be going down. Lings, they try to engage. Once again, they're pushing into Hellbats of all things. And Tavo, he trades very well here. Trades well. He might be cleaned up towards the end, getting another queen. Yeah, Lings will shut down the Pyre. Forced to pick up, forced to evacuate, but I'm afraid to look at the units lost type here. Bam! What did we get? So for the Bio Army, 16 Marines. That is an entire mineral line worth of workers. 16 Marines went down. I mean, that would have been all the workers here, basically. So 16 Marines, 21 Lings, 2 Overlords, and 4 Queens. Half the Queen count gets reset, and he's not done. He should be there. And earlier we were saying how he has to get damage, he has to trade well. He did. He did incredibly well. Killed the mineral line, 4 queens, 21 lings, and he even escapes with the medevac. Medevac does survive. He can still poke around, denying creep. Behind this, third base cannot be taken, and we have Tavo setting up with his next wave, this time with combat shields. Combat shields, 1-1, tank production, more fire. He's getting ready for that second round. Look at the turtle. Let's get curious. We casted our Tenacious Turtle Tussle yesterday, 24 hours ago. So we'll have to remove that logo from in-game. I'll get on that for next game. Meanwhile, Infestation bit here out of MikeSavage. From our Zerg player, it's going to be up to MikeSavage to recover. He is joining quite heavily. Unfortunately, supply blocked. From here, taking up what looks to be into Hive. This looks like Ling Bane into Ultra. Typically, we wouldn't get an Infestation bit without the Hydroden unless we're going straight for Hive and straight for Ultras. If this was for any other form of tech, we'd see a Hydroden into Lurkers, for example, or a Spire, for example. So this should be for Lunkers, assuming we go straight for the Hive, which can work well. Ling Bane into Ultras, it is definitely a viable way to play this out and a viable composition, but it needs time, and Tavo, he's already here. He's going to be stimming in. Threatening the army of MikeSavage. Do you see him trying to engage here with his Ling Bane? Trying to. Setting up, massing up more of an army. Tavo trying to gain ground. Creep is receding. Tanks getting within range. Thankfully, there is bailing speed. There should be enough Ling Bane to potentially engage, but the base is going to go down. Yeah, the hatchery, it's going to fall. There's no saving. This drone's going to be falling as well. MikeSavage, he does commit. Does dive in. Bailings, they roll forward. Oh, and they don't quite connect, so they clean up all the tanks at least. Oh no, the tank! Oh no, the tank does barely survive. Yeah, MikeSavage, he pulls away too soon. He pulls out too soon. Lings are gonna get shut down here in the main, and this is getting out of hand. This is getting out of hand. This is getting out of control. Tavo, he's done it. He's done it. He has broken MikeSavage. Lings on their own cannot break this. We have no Bailings either. The army is a little bit stimmed, but honestly, he can just stand and fight. He can just stim and win. He can stim, he can win. Takes out another queen. 2 queens left. That's a 1. That's a none. GG gets called, and Tavo will take game number 1. GG. GG, well played. Tavo, he will take a lead in the series. Again, MikeSavage, he was holding his own for a time, but unfortunately he did not scout the Hellbat push, did not scout the Hellbat variation of 2-1-1. Despite having a high queen count, he was not able to protect his base or save his workers. I think that was the biggest problem there. If he were able, even if he had lost the same amount of queens and a similar amount of lings, if he had saved his base and his mineral line, he would have been okay, but he lost 16 drones. 16 drones, that is game-ending damage. That's game-ending damage at this level of play, so that was just a little bit too much. With that, Tavo does take a lead, and now we are getting into game number 2. And we get to game 2. Is a very old build. If you're referring to the Hellbat variation of 211, I mean, it's an old build in the sense that it's been around for a while, but the 2 ranks Reaper into a Hellbat push is relatively new, relatively modern. When I say it's relatively modern, like a year ago, like I would say, because again, if you recall, kind of 2023 coming into 2024 is when Bjorn did popularize 211 Reaper openers quite heavily throughout almost the entire year. And of course, players have since adopted it since then. I might be getting my years mixed up. I'm pretty sure it was 2024, if not 2023. These 2 years are blending together in my mind, not gonna lie. No. I think it was 2023 because, right, it was November of 2022 at DreamHack Atlanta when Maru and Bjorn, they started it. It was either DreamHack Atlanta 2022 or DreamHack Atlanta 2023. It was one of those two Atlantas is when they started it. But regardless, let us jump in. And spawning in the bottom right hand corner of Whispers of Gold, we have our Peruvian Zerg player, the Pink Zerg, representing Insane Master Killers. It is MikeSavage. And spawning in the top left-hand corner, we have the purple Terran player, the purple Terran representing Exertus Ignite, or Exertus Esports. It is Tavo. Let's go, Tavito. That's where we are going to be settling in. But yeah, like thinking about it, I'll be honest, I have to double check, but in my mind, God, I forgot to get rid of the turtle. But in my mind, 2023 and 2024 blend together a little bit just because of the season bled into the other. If you recall, like the 2023 season continued into 2024 into eventually EWC instead of IM Katowice being the end of year finals. So it all kind of blends together a little bit in my memory. So I do apologize for that. But I want to say that it was DreamHack 2022 now that I think about it. Retrospectively, maybe. One of the two. Anyway. Relatively recent. Meanwhile, this time it's going to be MikeSavage's turn to be the aggressor here. What's he going for? He's going for Roach Warren. Hidden Roach Warren here behind the mineral line. He's going to be staying on 2 bases. Back at home, it's going to be a more standard opener here out of Tavito, going for a 1-1. This time, no 2-rank Reaper. So much more standard build here by Tavo, but now the pressure is on the Terran to scout and confirm what's going on. He has yet to dive in. He should be checking for third base locations. Once he realizes there is no third, he needs to go into the main base to figure out what's going on. As you can see here, no link speed. The gas is being preserved for Roach production. Roach Warren is done, and Roaches will soon be on the way. Back at home at third TC before Starport. Economic build here by Tavo. There we go, Starport now on the way. Oh, as he does dip in. Yeah, dips into the main base, but alas, is denied the scouts. Roaches are going to be amassing. Here we go. Roaches on the way. Tavo, he sees nothing. He does see there's no expansion. He might be overconfident and be like, oh, you know, like maybe because of how well he performed last game, like, oh, there we go, he confirms how well he performed last game, that maybe his opponent would be maybe playing a little bit scared, but no, it's anything but. Roaches are spotted and racing back home. Bunkers are on the way. You can see here Tavo, he's ready to just evacuate his natural, to just give up on the expansion. 2 bunkers being thrown down on the high ground. We have Hellion production, more Hellions on the way, Banshee on the way behind this as well. Third CC is done, and Tavo, he does pre-pull the boys. He evacuates the natural. So far, very nice response. The CC might even be forced to be lifted. Roaches are trying to make their way to the main. Bunkers are done, and Tavo holds. Tavo does hold. Now, this is still getting damage done in the sense that the mining time is being denied, right? There is no mining time here or no mining whatsoever at the natural, so Tavo, he's contained to a one base economy. But because of that third TC, he's going to have triple mules, he's going to be able to make 3 SCVs at a time. Economically, he can recover quite quickly once he retakes his natural. And he will now do so. Banshee has arrived, and these roaches, they need to race back home. Oh, he's going to stick around. He tries to. From here, back at home, we have a very fast lair. Lair's on the way, link speed. Third base now being taken. It's a late third base for MikeSavage. He's getting there. And looks like he's trying to transition into Lingbane Roach Ravager. Attempting to. Meanwhile, Tavo, he retakes his natural. Again, didn't lose any SCVs in the defense. His economy is looking solid. Getting to his 3-1-1 follow-up, salvaging those bunkers, and taking his own third base momentarily. He will get there. From this point forward, I would say that MikeSavage has to drone as hard as possible. I know that he's teching, like he throws down the lair, Baling Nest, double Evo Chamber, double upgrades, but right now it's all about droning, all about resaturating. It is risky just because, I say risky. Really, he knows that it's going to be Hellion Banshee as the follow-up, so we just need safety spores, safety queens, roaches are going to be enough, and just droning, just pure droning. Fourth expansion, there we go, fourth base is on the way. MikeSavage trying to catch up, as he's still down in the worker count, which is terrifying. So we have 47 SCVs already here for Tavo. Again, you can see the power of that third TC and making three workers at a time. Tavo is still looking solid and still ahead. It's not just about the workers, it's about the mules as well. So economically, Tavo is still in a better position. MikeSavage just wasn't able to drone as much or as hard. And again, he is trying to set up. Okay, now there's rocks. Now he should be cutting workers at around 60, at around 3 base saturation, and then focusing on Lingbane Roach Ravager. Otherwise, he may just topple over to the push. Now the push is still a ways away. We're still waiting for a 1-1 upgrade, still waiting for combat shields, so MikeSavage still has time to drone. Ideally would have some units in the main attack paths. There we go, Overlords are moving into position to get a read on the move out. We're loading into Whispers of Gold. The rush distance by ground on this map is very short rush distance by ground. I mean, on the one hand, that's why he did, I'm pretty sure, did open up roaches. At the same time, it also means that this eventual move out is going to hit very quickly once it does move out. Banshees have arrived. They pick off a single drone so far. They do get eyes on the 5th expansion. And MikeSavage, he has drone up to 67. At this point, I feel like we have to mass up Lingbane Roach Ravager. Just focus on army production, because that push, it's coming soon. Maxes are finishing up. You have a second factory on the way. Gas is being taken, so it's not gonna be a 3-base all in. Tavo will be expanding and getting a 4th CC momentarily. Meanwhile, it does hit the mineral line. Thankfully, MikeSavage does pull away his drones. Only losing 3. Your workers go down. Tavo rotating. Ooh, and MikeSavage is making another wave of drones. This is greedy. This is greedy here from MikeSavage, but it looks like he's droning up to 86. I mean, this, if he can get away with it, it's going to be solid, but again, the army is lacking. Look at the army supply right now, 39. Like, he barely has a standing. This is the army, a handful of roaches, a handful of banelings. He has 8 roaches, 0 lings, and 2 banelings. So there we go, 16 lings just now popping out, but the army here is very much so lacking. This has been very greedy from MikeSavage. I mean, if he gets away with it, that's fine, but Tavo, he's almost maxed. He's almost maxed out, and if you're looking at this, and if you're wondering, like, what happened here, what's going on, MikeSavage has been, I would say, overdroning. He has, in a sense, overdroned, been a little bit too greedy. He did delay his army production by a lot, focusing on just his economy. And here comes Tavo. He's pushing forward. Does push in. Oh my god. Doesn't pull away. Bailings, they get some decent connections. But the tanks do siege, and despite the decent connections, I mean, there's just not much here. There's not much here. Bailings, they fall back. Roaches, they get annihilated. Base is going to go down. And from here, Tavito, he sims on 40, takes down the expansion, takes down the Bailings as well. This time, nice target firing. Queens, there's no escape. GG gets called, and Tavo will take game number 2 and the series. GG. Whew. GG, well played at Tavo. He will take the second game. Again, MikeSavage just a little bit too greedy towards the end there. He droned up to 86, an insane drone count, especially on Whispers of Gold. And because of that, he barely had an army. He barely had a standing army. He had a handful of roaches, handful of lings, handful of bailings. Not enough there to hold on, to defend. Not enough. GG, well played. And that leads us into game 3. Now, if you're curious, game 3, wait, what's going on? These are best of 3s, but all 3 games are played. Regardless of scores, all 3 games are played out. So in the end, Tavo, he will win this series, but we still have another game here, so MikeSavage can still put a point on the board. That is going to be important when it comes to the overall standings in the group stage, in the round robin group. So there is still value there. And so jumping into that third game, before I forget though, I will get rid of the turtle. La tortuga. I got you. Catching up with the chat. Grande Mike. Dando pelea. Pero que lance el GG nomás. Este Maxim. Calm down. Here we go. We're getting to our next game, and spawning in the top left-hand corner of King's Cove, we have our pink Zerg player, the Peruvian Zerg, representing Team Insane Master Killers, down in the series, but still has an opportunity here to put a point on the board. It is MikeSavage. And spawning in the bottom right-hand corner, we have the purple Terran player, the purple Terran representing Xeratus Esports. It is Tavo. We go. So we are going to be setting up. Mike going hatch gas pool, standard opener out of our Zerg player, and welcome one and all to King's Cove. King's Cove being one of the larger maps in the ladder map pool. Last game we did see MikeSavage going for a roach rush. That makes sense on a smaller map like Whispers of Gold. We should not see that here on King's Cove. The map itself is working against you if you want to be aggressive in the early game, so most likely standard openers into a standard setup. Hatch gas pool. Now I say standard setup because the map is so large. It does mean that you can try to get with something. You can get away with something like muta play, for example, like spire into mutas, or even some kind of quirky tech, and even try to go Lingbane into ultra. If you remember, it did look like MikeSavage was trying to tech up into Hive in game 1. He just stumbled his way there just because the initial Hellbat push in the 2-on-1, so he was crippled before he could really get that going. But on a larger map, I can see that working. 100%. 100%. Here we go. For now, do you have Tavito setting up, going for his natural, going for his Rax Expand. Just settling in, joining up for now. Again, there shouldn't really be too much aggression here in the early game, especially on this larger map. Here we go. Likewise, Tavo going for his own, I would imagine, third CC before starport. So before things really ramp up, we can calm down, we can focus on our economies. I do want to say that this will be the best opportunity for MikeSavage to get into this game. Both game 1 and game 2, the early aggression, the early move-outs have been really hurting MikeSavage. But here coming into game 3, he should have more freedom. And there it is, third TC has been thrown down before starport. Economic build by Tavo. Yes, there is a Reaper that's kind of hindering MikeSavage, and he's dipping into the bases, but for the most part, Mike should be able to keep up. His Reaper so far has 2 link kills. So far, just 2 lings. Here comes our starport. From here, we can settle it. Are we going for the no shot? We're going for the linear third base. I'll be honest, I've never seen a player take this expansion as the third. This is very risky. Now, I understand the logic in a sense. This base is being taken because the Reaper is zoning at the triangular third location. So it looks like MikeSavage, he was kind of fed up and he just didn't want to deal with the Reaper. But the downside here is just how isolated this base is. The area between the natural and the third is very long, very open. Likewise, it does mean that there's a lot more openings to attack and to punish this expansion, whether it's coming in from the left, coming in from the south, coming in from the center as well. We have these side blockers that are going to be working against the Zerg player when it comes to defending. So this is crazy. As opposed to the triangular third base, which is a lot more defendable. It's a lot more defendable. I've even seen players take the low ground base as a third as well, just to spread creep across the map and to maintain this center position. But expanding on the left hand side is crazy and very risky, and I'm worried it's going to be punished. Tavo, he scouts, he checks the third, pokes in. Now, the plus side here is that Tavo, you can see he's checking the regular third locations. He's confirming there's no expansion. He might believe this is a 2-base all-in, as he has not seen the third. Meanwhile, back at home, third TC, into his 1-1-1, into Stim, extra Raxes, Hellions are amassing, they're moving out, and it's going to be on Tavito to figure out what's going on, and figure out what's happening. Once again, does check the third, confirms there's no expansion, gets behind the queens. Oh, it does get behind. Nice heli volleys on those links. Doesn't commit. Doesn't quite commit. Pulls away for now. Layers on the way for Mike. Now, typically at this point, we'd see either a Baneling Nest or Evo Chambers. Going through the scan reveals the lair into Mutas. We did talk about Mutas at the start of the game, and Muta play is viable here, but he sees everything. Oh, and that one knows. That he knows, he's aware again. Oh, forcing a cancel in the main. I mean, it makes sense. Scouted Mutas have a hard time finding damage, and now we have a late Baneling Nest and late Evo Chambers. The reality is that this tech is late, it is delayed. Tavo still doesn't really know what's going on. He still hasn't scouted the expansion. Now, if we're not going into Muta play, I'm not too fond of this. You can see here gases were taken, and he's prioritizing gases. MikeSavage, he has 800 gas. He can't spend his gas. He cannot spend it, he has too much. So this is inefficient mining. GG. GG gets called. Banshees arrive, and unfortunately MikeSavage does tap out, unable to get into his game. Tavito will take the series 3-0. GG. Ooh, GG, well played at Tavo. He will claim the series here. Just an unfortunate setup there from MikeSavage, just at every turn. I wanted to say that here on King's Cove would have been his best opportunity to get into a longer game, to get into his own game state. He wasn't able to, trying to be cheeky, trying to go into Mutas. Likewise, he did skip his spores, so no spores in position, so those Cloak Banshees would wreak havoc, and in the end, his spirit was broken. GG. GG, well played with that at Tavo. He will claim the first match, and that leads us into our second series of the broadcast. Tavo up against another Peruvian Zerg player, one that I am unfamiliar with. MikeSavage and Insane Master Killers, at least I am. Like, I haven't cast him before, but I've seen the teams, I've seen the team leagues, at least on paper. I'm more familiar with MikeSavage over time, but Eva, less so, or EVA, Eva, less so. I'm not too familiar with our player here. We'll see how he compares to Tavo. Let's go.